What's poppin' people, it's your boy Zero, aka Black, Natsuki, Subaru, hit him. And today we are here with ReZero, Arc 9, Chapter 46, The Witch of Tristitia. I am just gonna go out and say that Arc 9 has been phenomenal. It's been like a lot of fighting, and you know, ReZero has been kind of doing a lot more fighting shit lately, but low-key, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like a lot of the arcs have been, well, a lot of the newer arcs have just had crazy fights, like super crazy. It is not even just 1v1s. Like, yeah, sure, we get like a few of those where it's like a 1v1 or two, but like lately it's just been like motherfuckers get jumped. Like this shit, like motherfuckers have been getting jumped so much, and I love the right now that we're getting Roy getting jumped by like the Owl Busters. But anyway, you guys know how this goes. I'm bricked up, you're bricked. Let's be bricked up together and read some ReZero Arc 9. All right, let's transition. Damn it, I kind of gotta pee. Pause. Okay, we are black. Okay. With that, wait. Yeah, so okay, I did want to comment on the application of the witch factor of Tristitia, like the compression shit. You can wait, let me reread this. So having also accreted compressions on the thought processes for all of them to conceive their best ideas, she had done so. How do you even do that? How does, I mean, like, okay, yes, of course, you know, the witch factor, or like the abilities of witches, the authorities, they don't make sense to the world, in the sense that they don't have to follow the rules of the world. I get that. How the fuck do you compress the time and space in between someone's thoughts to make them think like, that's crazy work, bro. I wonder if she, like, clearly she'd be able to do it on herself. And like, I want to get some more Subaru. I want to get some more Subaru. Anyway, if we can compress the distance and time for traversal, like clients, who is this? Wait, oh, is this Subaru? Okay, like Klein-san's been doing, then it should also be possible to compress things like thinking time and discussion time, an essential component of such conceptual type abilities. Is that type of paradigm shift? Who's asking that? Since Klein-nisama had always continued to use it the same way, I guess he'd just be way too blockheaded. While concentrating on the intricacies of operating the authority, Petra bantered with the translucent imaginary Subaru. They were amidst combat. Ordinarily, one might be tempted to wait. So, does she have to be close to them to do that though? Is she just like teleporting and then like compression? Like, they need to explain this a little bit more. Fuck it. I'll just start over. They were amidst combat. Ordinarily, one might be tempted to complain how distracting it was, but in the particular case of the current Petra, her exchanges with Subaru were proving to be a source of great relief. The small box in which the witch factor of Tristitia was preserved, concealing that which she had inherited from Klein in her breast pocket, Petra continued to experience firsthand the dreadful force of attraction brought about by its power. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but the term attraction just fits way too perfectly. Likening the sensation to that of being irresistibly drawn in by attraction, Petra scolded herself. So how does like ingesting or consuming it works? Because like when we saw Juice take in the witch factor, he just put that shit up to his fucking chest and then got like he got cooked. So if Did she take it in? Like, what does it look like tangibly? Is the unseen hand, or like the sloth witch factor, does it manifest as just like a bunch of small little shadow hands? And then this is so curious. This is so curious. Were she to let her mind relax for even a second, the witch factor would immediately tempt Petra with thoughts such as, you could try this, and you can even try that, attempting to remove an important shackle binding one to their humanity. Without that or anything to hold on to, she felt like she would surrender to the sensation of being swallowed up as she shakily stared down over the edge of the great cliff, but that's a no-go. The sensations of omnipotence, a sweet nectar intoxicating to the likes of man. The witch factors were prone to exploiting those weak parts of humans, and yet their way of going about it took the form of offering, well, how about this, as a means to grant that which one desired most. The more one treasured something, the more they harbored a wish they could not relinquish. The harder it would become to resist its allure. Certainly, neither the Witch of Greed nor the former Saint Archbishop of Sloth, Betelgeuse Romani Conti, had been exceptions. Even Petra did not know what might have happened to her if she had lacked a means to sustain her sense of self. However, Petra! Don't you need a follow-up? Oh, right, I forgot, like, Tonchin Khan. There we go. Aren't they named after, like, a fucking dish? Khan-san's on break after all. Leave it to me. As a gallant, boyish voice struck the eardrums of her heart, Petra exercised her authority. As Ratchins and Gaston agonized over how they ought to handle the onslaught of the brandishment of the blood scythes and the befouling downpour, she compressed their processes of thought and communication, having them select the best course of action. But how does that work, though? Like, I really need to, I want to understand how the compression fully works. The pair immediately made a switch to dealing with the approaching assault. Gaston caught the sanguine scythe with his flow method, and Ratchins he knows it too. And Ratchins unloaded a gatling volley of fireballs into the befoulment, magnificently tiding them over. Seeing that, Subaru gave a thumbs up, and Petra also returned the gesture. That's it, Petra, just like that. You're so cool. Even if it was just an illusion and not more, the way her beloved was smiling for her cheered her heart to high spirits. This was it. Thanks to this, Petra could transcend her limits whilst remaining as Petra. Unlike the many who had been enthralled by witch factors throughout history, Petra was not alone. That was what kept Petra from falling into corruption as the Witch of Tristitia. After all, I don't want Subaru to hate me. If there were any who would laugh at that vanity, then laugh. Fingers ought to be pointed, and ridicule ought to be cast upon Petra. If necessary, she could make as many excuses as she liked. This was a battle to save the world. She would rescue the many people who lived in the kingdom from their unease. She had no choice but to protect the grand stage that was the royal selection. She was carrying everyone's hopes upon herself, after all. I have far more reasons than simply the excuses I'm making. Is this Rem? Ramne-sama's always eager to slack off on everything, but she's fighting her hardest. Frederica Ne-sama. Oh no, this is still Petra. Inner thoughts, okay. Frederica Ne-sama's staying back to attend to things, but she's praying for me. Otto-san's always acting way too recklessly. The fact that I'm moving in accordance with the master's expectations is truly unpleasant. I want to show off to Amelia Ne-sama and Rem Ne-sama. I'll roar out like a tiger on Garf-san's behalf too. Meili-chan, don't make such a worried expression. Beatrice-chan, I'll definitely save you, so you mustn't cry. All of those were precious to her, and no doubt reasons why Petra was giving it her all. But the number one thing was different. My number one is you. To you, I don't want to show any part of me that's uncool. I don't want to show any part of me that's pathetic. After all, when I find myself reflected in those eyes of yours, I don't want your attention to drift away for even a second. With your heart taken by a person who's always glistening so brilliantly, if I need to present myself with a form that's always so glisteningly radiant in order to get you to turn to me, then so be it. That attraction has long since pulled me in. Don't call it anything like a witch factor. It's entirely of my being. The entirety of my being is made up of love and affection. That's why this is nothing. No matter how tempting the witch factor might be, Petra would never succumb. So long as these feelings of love resided within her, then neither gluttony nor the black serpent were dreadful in the slightest. God, Buddha, Ad Lagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never cry for another. Damn! Does it make it so that she physically can't, or she's just saying like, oh yeah, like I won't, I just won't do this? Because that's rough. The latent might of the owl busters, no, of the assemblage apt. Oh, assemblage. Oh my God, assemblage apt of being named as the Witch of Tristitia and her apostles. That's cool. Was something that far surpassed Roy's anticipations and postulations. How nice! Perhaps it is nice. Very nice. Surely it is nice. Certainly it is nice. Nothing but nice, as it is nice, because it can be called nice, because it can be praised as nice. Gluttonous drinking, gluttony. Penultimately, what the Witch of Tristitia was carrying out was unbeknownst to Roy. He simply comprehended with lucid precision that she was countering the authority of gluttony, enacting the authority which she possessed to its utmost, and bestowing the means to survive upon the entire troop of Felt and the rest. Pertaining to that battle, Felt and the others had failed to bear fruits greater than their own abilities as well. The maximum of their ability was constantly being drawn, poured into the best cup, and being utilized. That was all. And what made this possible was the efficacy of the authority of Tristitia. However, it's not supposed to be something so convenient that it can be used as much as pleased, you see. As aforementioned, Roy had hearkened from his mother's mouth, and what? Roy had hearkened from his mother's mouth the flaw present within the witch factor of Tristitia. Who's his mom? Witch factors that could not be compatible with anyone were supposed to be defective articles that no one had. No one hand. That on, oh sorry, I read that wrong. That on one hand granted the possessor tremendous might that interfered with the rules of the world, but demanded compensation to that end on the other. We do know Petra-chan absolutely loves Natsuki-san after all. The stomach of souls, upon following the newest memories settled within the treasure house of all that Roy had eaten, he could earnestly feel the valorous sentiment of the witch, newly born into this world, to be stabbing at his chest. A young immature girl, but a girl who shan't hold her own life dear for the sake of her flaring love. Upon being told of the necessity to use anything but life itself for firewood in order to regain something valuable that had been robbed, she would perhaps devote anything as fuel without falter. And, in reality, that was what she was doing. However, the stockpile was not endless. The rest is about which side gets consumed to exhaustion first. Just as the Witch of Justicia had limits, Roy too possessed an allotted time of life. The reason as to why he willfully did not heal his wounds, blood gushing profusely from them, was because he reworked even his flux of blood into an arrangement for fulfilling his own objective, employing it as a means to fight. That sizable forfeiture of sanguine ichor continued to keep alight the fuse of Roy Alfard's life. Indeed, this battle at present had mounted upon the frontier of whether to eat or to be eaten. Haha! Exhaling a hot, feverish breath, Roy expressed gratitude to the hunger enlivening his soul. Until now, as bizarre eating, Roy had messily eaten all kinds of articles haphazardly and indiscriminately, eating them, licking them, coveting and indulging and devouring them, eclipsing to spoil 11 lives. Roy Alfard had done so in order to seek an article that would appease the hunger that he had had since birth. Holy shit. He had borne since birth. For that purpose, until he discovered the flavor of his wish, Roy scored for a match all throughout the world, resuming to resist. Sorry, oh my god, holy fuck. My bad, chat. Resuming to subsist his ethos with this bearing of heart. He ate and felt dispiritedness. He ate and felt despondency. He ate and felt disappointment, no matter how much eclipsing to spoil he partook in. He was forevermore traumatized by the sensation of starvation, ever unappeased. In this Topher ethos was born a change, its progenitor. Here, try it out and see. To eat me up, depending on that, live or you die. Come on, you prick. What? Wait, who's that? Largely responsible was within the tower piercing the heavens, in the midst of that sand sea, the proprietor of an overwhelming soul drove him to distortion, nearly filling to bursting a vessel called Roy Alfard. Read Estrella. Coming into contact with the soul of the man christened as the first generation sword saint, kindled a drastic reformation in Roy. Naming himself Bizarre Eating, consciously and indefatigably. Let me see how to pronounce this. Indefatigable. Yeah. Not only do I not know what it means, I need to make sure I know how to say this.
Indefatigable.
Indefatigable. Okay. Persisting tirelessly. Okay.
Indefatigable.
Indefatigable. Okay. That kind of cooked me. Not gonna lie. Where am I? Indefatigably devoting himself to his ethos through multitudes, Roy had been mourning in lament that the hunger born by the existence known as his self would never come to be fulfilled. Perhaps. That's not really unique to you or anything such though. This lovely lady as well as the other rabble, everyone is seeking love that won't be appeased. How about this lovely lady Wait, how about this lovely lady assist you in fighting that nameless something you want? In exchange, what this lovely lady wants is... You get it, right? Who the fuck was that? Vocalizing so whilst laughing with... Vocalizing so whilst laughing with a beguiling, sadistic smile. The mother stated itself to become Roy's mother. Neither did he trust to open his heart to her, nor did he depend upon her being an avarice for a possibility Roy could not find by himself. He used his mother. It was probably likewise. However, no matter how much he ate, no matter how he took a hand blemish with love and failed to acquire that article which he wanted, Lay searched for means to appease hunger by finding and picking out worth in each and every singular meal. Lewis meanwhile had a definite, tangible prospect of the article she wanted in order to appease hunger, apparently. Only Roy alone, did not have that, which now, at last, had been discovered. Wait. He didn't have a way to appease his hunger? Only Roy alone did not have that, which now, at last, had been discovered. A way to appease it. It ain't odd, you prick. Eat or be eaten. That's how life works, ain't that so? Yes, that's right. That's precisely right. What was wanted was the real feeling of living. Just the reason to be able to say with a smile from the bottom of the heart that he was alive. To pour this lovely lady's entirety for the sake of something wanted. Isn't something like that plainly obvious? Yes, that's right. That's precisely right. Even without affection, esteem, or anything at all. Only that teaching of his mother's was helplessly correct. That was why, unless all possible moves all in their entirety, without hesitation, and wholly all together are sunk into, it's not called love, isn't it? Because the opponents were kindly transcending their limits, his side must also respond in kind. Should he humbly not finish eating the treats that had gone out of their way to be prepared, it would make the name of gluttony weak. Now, welcome yourselves to eating, welcome yourselves to tasting. Contrary to his limbs, benumbed to cold by the efflux of blood, the voltage of his heart had risen to a crescendo, transforming his exuding blood into thorned legs made in the image of those belonging to insects. Roy pulsated thrummingly, and in his backdrop, in concert, the black serpent speared into the heavens, becoming a pillar of befoulment, recommencing its hunt comprised of flopping onward with wholly one side. Rumbling the wind as if thunder, the contagion relentlessly descended upon the flora. Birth thereupon was a seemingly undeflectable billow of toxicity, terribly blasphemous. It quite literally swallowed the battlefield in black, pressing to kill all things with murrain pestilence. But live! Strong! The command and response, akin to a fool's single bit of knowledge, became an arrow of counterattack veiled with composite strength. Ram's wren of wind tore that tidal waves of black, and the brigade of beasts with the hungry horse king obeying melee at its vanguard reached an opening. Following up, the well-physiqued man, including those newly summoned, lumps themselves together to convene. The hammer swinging forth vehemently shattered the ground, successfully erecting a bulwark that protected against the blighting toxicity. That was the stalwart might conquest. Wait, wait. That was the stalwart might consequent of the conveying of ones who would fail to compare by their individual strength. Okay, a battle of potpourri of raw effort that retaliated against the advancing fruition of surging death. Judging from the looks of things, Petrochan's authority is around the shortening of events, right? Shortening of events. Blah, won't tell you. That unfriendly reply is so tempting. Amidst the black serpent's befoulment downpouring like rain, ceasing not his onslaught, Roy bolted like a flash of lightning. Whilst clad in his armor of blood, switching between the odd talents, techniques, and deviances of different super-rational individuals in succession, and the force fist, the magic, and the cursed ballad layered atop one another to torrent upon the herd of prey. But on every instance, they all immediately rearranged their formation, knit the physical and magical attacks, and weave together resistance. Who guarded what was unintelligible now? Merely the truth that all of them accepted the offense, and all of them countered it would keep rewriting the battlefield. We'll keep on rewriting the battlefield. Sorry, my brain kept pausing. Like it kept pausing to fucking think, and then I kept trying to speak. Anyway, even in midst of this battlefield's escalations, Roy darted his eyes about in inspection of the prey. The Witch of Tristitia's ability, being shortening more or less, was unmistaken. It thus reduced the time. I guess that's a different way of putting it. It thus reduced the time and distance for movement, and was probably also dealing with the time for thought process and judgment. Its evidence was how the apostles of the Witch of Tristitia, consecutively accreting appearances and disappearances in the battlefield, would grapple with sudden situation without any perplexity, including those participating in a war for the first time. No, by shortening the perplexity part of it, they were prepared to be capable of immediately participating in the confronting situation. But how much longer will even that last? Their grappling resilience and sprightly morale purchased admiration. But both sides were likewise close to the limit. Although if Roy were to have one step of an advantage, it was the menace of the Black Serpent he had kept in reserve behind him. Even should the Witch of Tristitia and company vanquish Roy, they then must grapple with this atrocious, fiendish witch beast. Oh, did I skip? Oh, yeah. That was to say, they could not exhaust all of their strength against Roy as their opponent, and to their circumstance of expending not the entirety of their might, lest it deplete, adding a further pinch of seasoning to the platter. Now's the time to not shoot for the stars, but to shoot for the eclipse, you see. The Black Serpent's ginormous frame once again speared the heavens, the befoulment on standby to torrentially downpour. Preparing for it, the Witch of Tristitia and company simultaneously stood guard, toward which he disgorged the memories. This was eclipse binaries. Neither solar eclipse nor lunar eclipse, Roy Alphard's novel and original table manners, did he let cascade. God, Buddha, Adlagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never wish upon a star with another. Damn it. In that moment, what surged onto the battlefield was merely one part of a horde of memories. Multitudes that were apt to be called simple food, that Roy Alfar had eaten until now, but failed to find and pick out worth in them to remember. Following his experience at the Pleiades Watchtower, bizarre eating had revised one's own cognizance of ethos. Gratitude onto all ingredients, reverence onto all trysts of fate. There was no such thing as a foul ingredient in this world. It simply meant that his self was the proprietor of a foolish tongue that failed to recognize their goodness. Take a venomous fish, for example. Should the fish's organs, which store venom, be adequately disposed of, it would become possible to surfeit a delicacy superior to consuming venom. The same applied to the prey from gluttony's vantage. In this universe, there was no such ingredient from the head to the rear that was entirely useless, that lacked all worth of being tasted. Any and every kind of ingredient had portions that were usable. Thus, he used such. Memories of agony! Over the course of an ordinary life, plausibly, everyone would possess a memory or two of having suffered unbearable pain. These multitudes of memories of agony, Roy extracted from which the stomach of souls he had stockpiled, blended them together, and hurled them toward the battlefield before his eyes. This was not something visible to the eye. Consequently, there were no ways to evade it. Either. Its identity, a blasphemous deed of forcing an abstract concept onto the opponents. Most of all, pelting opponents with memories of agony would not produce immediate results. They were literal memories that the body bore no recollection of. Even upon being pelted by them, there lay no margin for the herd of prey to taste those agonies. Then what would transpire? It would merely incite a chain of remembrance of memories in close It would merely incite a chain of remembrance of memories in close proximity. At first, a faint voice leaked from inside the troop. They had until now roared with voices of intrepidity, worn valor, and resolution on their visages, and anchored in themselves that mettle to confront every obstacle head-on, truly worthy of being called heroic warriors. From those lips leaked a timbre, neither a war cry nor a call of each other's names, but a shrill note. And upon its onset, the leak persisted ceaselessly. They dilated their eyes, opening their mouths wide, and placed their hands on parts that become an unsought founts of screaming, screeching helplessly as though spouting blood. Moreover, this was not one lone individual. Everyone present in that location began to scream. The synthesis of memories of agony that Roy had hurled impelled the bodies to remember agony within proximity that had been tasted before. For those who were within range of that abstract concept, as though it was a thing of the present moment. Agony that had been tasted once in the past could be endured. Nay, this rationale was erroneous. Agony that was unbearable in that past was unbearable yet in the present, and yet so in the future. It was a voice unbecoming to be voiced, or a cacophony uproared in succession by Felt, by Ram, by Old Man Ram, by Melee, by Flam, by Graces, by Gaston, by Ratchins, by Boltero, by the apostles summoned to the battlefield by the might of the authority of Tristitia. Nobody could brave it, and the one to screech the shrillest wail above and beyond Petra was none other than Petra Lete, her eyebrows spasming upward, compelled to taste compelled to taste and even relish the cursed, the concourse of agonies that had chaperoned Natsuki Subaru to death. God, Buddha, Atlagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never rendezvous with another. Huh? Petra! Hearing the frantic outcry of the imaginary Subaru, the fact that it seemed like he did not have to experience any of this pain, given that he was a phantom watching her, served as relief to Petra. Was not so. It had been unable to serve as such. Any possible leeway for that existed not within Petra Lete, tasting in the torment of death. A hoarse breath spilled forth. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. I'm not gonna say that much. Lacerated abdomen hurts. Crushed eyeball hurts. Stabbed chest hurts. Misfortune wrought by passing malice hurts. Finger cut by poor knife skill hurts. She's experiencing every fucking death and everything that Subaru's had to ever go through. Skin fissures from kitchen work hurts. Head caved in without warning hurts. Body tortured alongside sound of chain hurts. Throat gouged by wind hurts. Jumping off and crashing onto pointy rocks hurt. Body and mind after vicious beatings hurt. Hands and legs after putting on airs and being taken easy on when discipline hurts. Frozen and shattered fingers, ankle hurts. Licked eyeball feels disgusting and hurts. Wrists freed from handcuffs frozen and broken hurts. Falling to knees on ground completely congealed. Everything creaking and hurts. Body shoved away by a perturbed auto hurts. Unsightliness trying to escape the white whale after that hurts. Soul amidst being frozen in zenith cold hurts. Thread of life running amok to convenience and assisted suicide hurts. Chest assailed for the sake of assisted suicide hurts. Heart grabbed upon confessing return by death hurts. Being grabbed by tenacious spirits of the authority of sloth hurts. Stabbing own throat for fear of losing rem hurts. Abdomen disemboweled for the first time in months hurts. Entire body struck by debris, arms mangled up. Body finally being devoured from inside hurts. Toyed with by ferocious beasts, entire body. Entire body bitten to shreds again hurts. Finally stabbing own throat. Again, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Petra! Petra! That's no good! Don't give in, Petra! The entirety of the mind was dominated by pain. Even though the inside of the body, the inside of the mind, the inside of the heart were all supposed to be filled to the brim with. The pain eclipsed everything entirely. What are these? From the top of the head to the tips of the toes, there was no place within the body that was not feeling pain. All throughout this being, the entirety of what shaped the self's transformation into pain, in order to make the self experience pain, by constructing the pain, and the painting. Pain. Vision strained bright red. Their own incredibly noisy voice seemed to ring like tinnitus. A sharp scent of blood, deep in the nose, drooling spilled from within the mouth, which of taste of death. With the taste of death. The shock causing an unbearable level of goosebumps on all the skin of the body. Once again, the torment of blank that had failed to truly be understood by merely having read the Book of the Dead was clearly steeped in blank as well. Throughout Through that pain, blank gained a painful understanding of blank in the truest, most literal sense. As the pain blotted over both the inside and outside of blank's entirety, deep down, a painful understanding. A painful understanding that the entirety of pain endured was linked to blanks, to not boss, to not keep Suba, to Natsuki Suru's memories of repentance accompanied by sublime feelings of loss. What? Why is so much shit blanked out? It had hurt letting Amelia die. It had hurt letting Felt die. It had hurt letting Ramji die. It had hurt letting Rem die. It had hurt letting everyone in Arlem Village die. It had hurt. It had hurt letting Ram die. It had hurt letting Frederica die. It had hurt letting Petra die. It had hurt letting Beatrice die. It had hurt letting Otto die. It had hurt letting Roswell die. It had hurt letting Ryuzu die. It had hurt letting Garfield die. It had hurt. It had hurt. It had hurt. Utmost vexation. Vexing. It hurts. 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 Why is that? Don't want to lose. Even if it hurt, even if it was painful, it was far better than sorrow and vexation. Love everyone, so will not give up on anyone. Love you, who loving everyone will not give up on anyone, so will not give up on you. Hence, just who do you think I am? Blank was blank. Wait, blank was blank E was Ate. Was Petra Lete was a bundle of potential, rich with talent and quick to learning, harboring great promise with a bright future ahead of her. That person, those people, all believed that about Petra. Then she would do so. Can do it. It ought to be possible for you, Petra Lete. I won't let everyone who told me that I could do it become liars after all. Or perhaps, were they all just liars who believed in a weak, pitiful Petra who could not do anything? There's no way it could be that. It's possible. It ought to be possible. If it is possible, then stop being all talk and do it. Do it. Just do it. You can do it. Do it now. Do it right this instant. Now. Come on. Do it. Do it. Just do it. Compression. No. By means of the power of the authority of Tristitia, compression would be invoked. Just a distance, traversal time, thinking time, and discussion time had all been compressed right now on the dreadful instant that had befallen Petra and the rest. Compression would be invoked. Pain. Oh, what a dreadful thing it was. Even a slight amount of pain would cause one to get teary-eyed. Then it turned to a matter of pain that was a bit sharper. One would become unable to sleep at night. When it came to having an abundance of dull pains, it might very well have swayed over the rest of one's life to follow. Be it slight, sharp, or dull, the time in which pain was experienced would always feel long and drawn out. On the time that would make a second feel like 10, an hour feel like 12, a day feel like an eternity, compression would be invoked. Everyone, get ready to grit your teeth. It'll be over in a second, but it'll hurt 100 times more. That it might be 10,000 times more, he did not tell her. Regardless if he did, regardless if her heart was ready for it, the fact of doing it would not have changed after all. Compress agony! The power of the Witch of Justicia ascended to a brand new stage, was unveiled. God, Buddha, Ad Lagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never lament parting with another. This shit is gonna make me fucking sad, bro. The new art he had debuted erupted unerringly, fissuring the flawless coordination of the herd of prey. Whilst his ears hearkened the wind's rumble as the black serpent's body flopped forward, contrived with befoulment, bound with toxic blight. A vari-colored pandemonium of screams, screeches, and wails reached him from the other side. All of it seemed so aching, so agonizing, that if Roy had been conferred the time, he would have wept through the whole night thinking of them the most. Then, inscribe those feelings into verses of poetry and set them adrift atop a river. Damn. Time for that he had not, however. Neither did he have the erudition to compose poetry, so it would not have been of any decent makings. But it was the truth that he thought of them with compassion. He bore no begrudgment toward them, nothing akin to hatred either, not even an intermixed blend of love and hate. All he felt was nothing but simply love. Who could ever want to see anything such as the figures of their loved articles wailing in agony? That would be nothing more than spice for when their lives were surfeited. Spice was not stable food. To set it as the main dish was the deed of the aberrant. We will not commit such a terrible act, you know. In the wake of eclipse binaries, which sparked a chain reaction of memories of agony, the herd of prey's abilities to mobilize had been ruptured. All that remained was the downpour of the black serpent's befoulment. This particular head was charged with representing elders' blight, so it would not go as far as to rob them of their lives. It would occlude their thinking and mobility, restraining them on the precipice of mortality in perpetuum. Should that happen, the rest would be like a wine cellar, until the time of drinking, when their true names were brought to light, arrived. He shall await their time of ripening and fermentation. He had heard that the precipice where they would be restrained offered no refuge. Anguish and darkness lasted unceasing, but in the end, the pain of affliction they shall taste would settle within Roy and vanish. So it was fine. Tasting such bitterness, licking to the finish, and surfeiting himself with it too was yet ethos. Even though they can't be eaten immediately, looking at ripened fruits is so painful. As he about uttered so, Roy's words were interrupted. There was no counterattack. If anything, it was the opposite. The herd of prey bellowed a bitter, chest-stabbing screech on a higher order of magnitude in both intensity and volume. They held a sonoriousness. Oh wait, sonorous. Okay, you already know. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Don't, don't, boom, 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 boom. How do you say it though?
Sonorous.
Sonorous. Sonorousness. They held a sonorousness that could understandably be perceived as death wails. Roy widened his eyes for a moment, but it progressively indicated the success of his plan. Live! Strong! The subsequent instant, fathomless responses and unity defied the inevitable demise that should have swallowed the herd of prey. This shit's good. Shit's good, bro. This shit's good. God, Buddha, Adlagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never walk into the sunset with another. That instant, a sensation as if all the skin on her body being peeled off, followed by Reinhardt scrubbing her flayed body with a metal brush steeped in ample amounts of salt water, assailed felt as in hellish pain. Ah! For the first time in her life, the pain she experienced was so intense that it felt like her insides were twisting themselves inside out. A paralysis crept through the corner of her mind, and she even hallucinated a sensation of her blood flowing backwards in her veins. Exactly what had just happened, she did not know. No, she understood. Petra had done something. Pipsqueak's quite impressive. And so, Felt quietly praised the tremendous effort of the girl, who was nearly the same height as her. From the discussions that had been squeezed tight with absurd momentum up until this point, she knew that Petra had coordinated brilliantly with Ramji to establish the combined forces. This was an incredible feat, after all. After all, Ramji was the wisest and most reliable man in the world, so Petra must have been nothing short of a genius. And that genius had done something beyond imagination, in order to land a crushing blow on the something that the opponent had done. Even still, you've really got some damn terrible luck, you know that? Cheeks contorting as she spoke, Felt caught sight of a small shadow in the corner of her eye. Camberley. Unlike Gaston, who had been in the fight since the beginning, or Ratchins, who had joined the fray midway through, Camberley had made his grand entrance at the most critical moment. But at the exact instant, the unimaginable pain had been unleashed upon them, so calling it terrible luck would have been a gross understatement. However, you've got terrible luck, but you're the best. With tears streaming from the corners of his eyes, that which Camberley had carried here in his hands was now snatched away by Felt. Something of a trump card of their camp, the Star Staff. She would fire it with every fiber of her being, every ounce of strength she could scrape together. Felt would give it everything she had. All that remained is finding an opponent to fire it. God, Buddha, Adlagna, for as long as I live, I hereby vow to never tread upon the shadow of someone who walks beside me. Live! Strong! An exclamation that rendered imperceivable. That rendered imperceivable, which exactly was the war cry of the witch beast, which roar pulsated in the black serpent's body, analogous to the thousand calamities balled together, was jostled backward by the stock wave immediately below it. Shockwave. Raging across the battlefield with a vehement torrent of light and dark, the heaven-rending impact roiled Roy's entire body with astonishment. What had occurred? What did they do? All of it he questioned not. Petra-chan! With only the identity of who did it certain, Roy Alphard reached zenith. It was an amazing thing to accomplish. Ovation and a round of applause. Becoming one with the multitudes of the crowds of memories within Roy, he must bid them thunderous applause. Just how much sacrifice of oneself would it take to make the witch factor of Tristitia do that? By any measure of imagination or surmise, the ordinary, average kind of happiness in all of its forms would have to be parted with. Or it would not be possible to materialize this battlefield. This close of a skirmish, this extent of outrageous insolent, would it? Wait. Want to become happy. That was bound to the unconditionally imperishable, fixed and indivisible wish as a human being. It was bound to be unconditionally absolute. It was bound to be an unconditionally absolute prayer. No different even from Roy. For Roy. No. Even for Lay, and even for Lewis, even for the Sin Archbishops, even for evildoers, and even for criminals. Living and continuing to live for that purpose, but lest it be parted with, this battlefield shall not. Pupils bedewed with delight, drying them with a single blink of his eyes. Roy looked upon Felt, who had snatched the white staff from the hands of her comrade. Since the dwarf, who did not seem to be any war potential for the most part, had gone out of his way to bring it here at this 11th hour, unmistakably meant that it was a special secret weapon. In other words, if that won't do, then will you start crying? Rainbow-hued butterflies danced, spears of fire and ice rained, titanic scythes of blood from multifarious directions were fired. A pressure that crushed everything, not from left to right, but in the rear to the front, precipitated, and the soprano befitting of a young boy, cursedly resonated that in song. Protect Felt! Wind surrounded the butterflies all together. Sundered, what the fuck? Wind sundered the butterflies all together. Magic bullets of ice and fire shattered the spears of fire and ice. Burly muscles intercepted the titanic scythe of blood through lacerations received. A momentary twin impact perforated the ground, surging from the rear to the front, and the enormous builds of an aged man and the pigman shielded the cursed ballad that disintegrated flesh and blood. Magnificent! But his wave-like onslaught blocked by the bastion of coordination. Roy, however, did not lose heart. Invoking the teleport he had restrained from utilizing it up until now, Roy's silhouette appeared at the heart of Felt's troop, and in the blink of an eye, his aim being Felt, not instead. The two over here are also pivotal, right? Within the personnel braced to intercept, he aimed for the spines of the two bereft of energy to stand up. The Witch of Tristitia and Witchbeast Master, both of them war potential essential for the opposing contingent to rival Gluttony and the Black Serpent in battle, and nobody's hand shall timely reach Roy, who stood right behind them. Licking his lips, Roy hosted the Fist King in his right hand and the Snow Valum in his left. And with tender kindness, that moment Meili's hair wriggled and crawled, and a corona was shot through Roy's left eye. Kia! Impaled by a sensation of scorching heat, the left side of Roy's perception vanished. Just what was this? Roy bared his remnant eye, and his vision entered virtuoso that had crushed his left eye. A little scorpion lurking in concealment within Mei's hair reflected therein. A being unknown to him, a trump card absent in memories, a face-down card, Viva fight to the finish. Even a tiny ally like that is gallantly devoting its might, was how he was to resume, but did not. Hastier than that, the ground upon which Roy's legs braced double crossed him, rocketing him into the sky without omen. Magic, it was not. Nowhere could the wavelength of mana be perceived. Then, was it the Witch of Tristitia once more? Nay, not even she fostered eyes on the back of her head. What had transpired was an... What the fuck? What had transpired was an eminence protruding from the ground with nary an omen or prior signal. Did that Bergen? How do you pronounce this? Bergen. I'm gonna say Bergen. Good grief! My amazing stealth comrades are way too damn reliable. That which had beat upon his eardrums all too suddenly was a sharp voice, an exceedingly common recollection in his memories. By the soles of their feet did they achieve concert with the earth, such that during the intervals whilst they were planted firm upon the ground, steel that person would become as though an iron keep, unfellable to all who sought its conquest. Precisely because of being so dependable, the bark of their timber ought not to have been heard. Rolling up into the air, stretched out amidst Roy's visage, upside down, was an earthy landscape, where the witch beast of pestilence writhed. Sorry, I'm dumb. Writhed. And thereupon would he set it to wreak havoc. Unlike before, a distance had now emerged between it and Roy, albeit his armor of blood was beginning to shed, were the befoulment to be splattered out like a shower of rain. The herd of prey would have to divert their efforts toward countering that. Sit down! But for a moment, the black serpent's movements were thrown into disarray by the weeping outcry. But the duration of its stoppage amounted to not even the blink of an eye. Even if it had been deprived of that interval, that would never amount to Roy's machinations falling out of that instant. The serpentine form of the witch beast, while seeking to reach skyward as though a spire piercing the heavens, rupturing its befoulment, spilled out from within, and onto that besmirched ground did a lone silhouette tumble down. You're kidding! Violently coughing, the red-haired man who had fallen into a pool of the most abhorrent befoulment in this world delivered onto Roy an impact that could not be explained by simply tenacity or a pathetic adhesion to life, leaving him lost for words. For what reason was he alive? The question, and an appetite welling up, made Roy's stomach growl unwittingly. Yo, look the fuck over here! With an effortless leap, the golden boy caught up to the airborne Roy, and gnashing his sharp fangs, he raised aloft one of his fists clad in silver gauntlets in a grandiose hoist. Hey, yo! This goes fucking crazy. Look at my boy, that's my goat. Should those smite him, the half-killed status Roy would be left in and would strip him of standing any chance, despite knowing it would only amount to stalling for a few moments and not more. From his choice of withdrawing to refuge, Roy sought to follow suit of the odd talent of the Leaper and invoked Lunar Eclipse. Zadabugs cannoned into him from his blind spot on his left, disrupting his focus. Upon allowing his line of sight to be lured by the irksome buzz and abhorrent texture, laying ahead, tens of meters distance were trees onto which a light blue ground dragon had been latched, and with his body entrusted to it, was a silhouette of a man supposed to be hollowed and empty. The man pointed his finger in this direction, and upon noticing their gazes, smiled, transmitting to him, "You have been bested." The subsequent juncture and wind howled, and a fist what the fuck? Bedizine? A fist bedizine with wind pressure blitzed straight toward Roy. It was awfully slow, seeming like it would take some time before it reached, when he noticed. "This is Petra-chan's doing! Is that what it means?" "Yes. Thought I'd properly say it at the end, that it serves you right." Feet stationed atop the ground, the Witch of Tristitia proclaimed triumph to Roy in the time that she had protracted. There no longer seemed to be anything that Roy could do pertaining to that. Also, the fist strike of the ravenous raging tiger had drawn imminent to about a distance the size of 5 coins away from him. In the time until that direct hit, what was there that he can do? He ruminated, and it occurred to him. "It's an amazingly amazing big deal, Petra-chan. But you know, weren't the sacrifices you made to win just too big? Making excuses like a sore loser? Nobody's been taken down on our side. Just so pathetic for a Sin Archbishop. With the Witch of Tristitia as the opponent, would lose face. With the Witch of Tristitia as the opponent, would lose face. But what's called a sacrifice doesn't apply to lives alone. The failure, the hopes, the possibilities, it's those kinds of things we are worried from the bottom of our hearts that Petra-chan's long life here on out will become so lonely, you see." 4 coins away. The very least, to dredge out the compensations, albeit her wish to hide them, and engrave oneself into her through that agony. Such was Roy's unscrupulous ethos, to which Petra fluttered her eyes and put on a puzzled face. It couldn't be. Surely she had not paid them without realizing. While these thoughts dwelled, this reaction was, "Could it be your misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding? That's strange. I thought Otto-san would likely say something like it. That this time, the entire world is your enemy, that sort of thing." 3 coins away. He had not been told so firsthand. However, such a door was extant in memories. Considering Aldebaran's deeds and the devastation he perpetuated, this cognizance could be called just and legitimate. However, that ought to be something with no greater or lesser purport. It can't be. It is. 2 coins away. Within the confines of the sensation of protraction, it was impracticable to commit an act so extravagant as gulping a breath, but in the throat of his heart, Roy gulped a breath of his heart, and looked at she, who smiled as it befit a witch, tenderly. The young girl, supposed to be incompatible with the witch factor, however, was beyond question the witch factor of Tristitia, or the witch of Tristitia. After all, the witch factor of Tristitia can be used by anyone should they pay compensation, and if the compensations are properly harmonized, anyone can act as the agent. So, it's being paid together with everyone in the royal capital. Oh, that was the ending of Fire Really Green. Sorry, like I was like, what is that, like, what's that theme? Okay. Well then, I'll say it one more time. Serves you right. 1 coin away. After all, unbeknownst to Roy was any being who had abused the witch factor of Tristitia to this degree. If this were not the witch of Tristitia, then what could it possibly be? Ah, thank you for the treat. 0 coins away. Gorgeous Tiger's thunderbolt exploded. It mercilessly shattered into Roy's countenance, knocking it down toward the ground where the black serpent writhed. His petite frame plunged right towards the core of the befoulment. Just before that, fire! Felt roared, and the staff, scintillating in her grip, fired a corona that washed the world with its paint of alabaster white. It altered into a smite of judgment, with and escape forbidden, swallowing ones whose were auxiliaries of malefaction and atrocity. So was the denouement of the ethos of bazaar eating. His wordplay on eat and ethos. Life ethos, replacing it, okay. That shit was fucking amazing. That was amazing. Let me read this shit out loud. Don't let the haters in the comments distract from the fact that this chapter and this story has been absolutely fantastic and amazing. They are a loud minority. Yeah, I'm aware. The writing this chapter was amazing. The last 3 arcs have been very fun reads. I've had so much fun reading arcs 7, 8, and 9, and they are just great. No need to bring down one arc to elevate another. All are ReZero, and all are enjoyable reads. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. To the fans, don't argue with them. It's a subjective matter. The opinion shouldn't matter to you. Yeah, keep going. Anyone who loves ReZero and doesn't share the same opinion as a Doom poster is instantly classified as sucking to Tabe. Lame. 2/3 in the audience left during the writing of what? Yes, this is a top 10 chapter of ReZero, pure like it's fucking peak. There are guys who got stuck in arc 6 and can't move on like 13-year-olds. The story has been better and better. Yeah, I agree. Roy is not bum. So Petra isn't going to be a vegetable at the end of this fight. I don't get how you share a vow though. Like, as long as one person in the capital isn't walking into the sunset with another, does it count as paid? Or is there some specific person that only bound? This was explained a bunch of chapters ago when Klein was talking to Petra about the witch factor. Petra learned that Roswaal has been paying compensation for Klein's use of the authority in the past and offers something of a herself. We just don't know yet. We just don't know what yet. So Klein can gather everyone together quickly. Whatever Petra offered was enough for a ton of very long-range teleports, covering many people. I don't know. Could be. Kind of random, but This shit's amazing, bro. Like this chapter's been fucking peak. I want to read a little bit of the next one. This is 47. We got one more chapter left, then we're well, 2 chapters left technically. All right, so we're gonna read the beginning of Arc 9, Chapter 47, Voice. Let me see how long this one is real quick without spoiling. Okay, so this one's like this is fairly long. Okay. When I opened my eyes, I realized I had no idea who I was whatsoever. Where this place is? When the present time is, who I am, what is happening, I do not have the slightest idea. Cannot see, cannot hear. I cannot move my hands or my legs. My feet are not on the ground. Cannot breathe properly either. And I'm in an extraordinary discomfort. And yet, I can sense voices. Even though my senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, most of all, sound, are blocked off, there are voices. Are we about to get like a peak auto chapter? Come on, dude. Many plentiful, innumerable voices showering down upon me, unable to do a thing, as if I am a powerless baby thrown into the cradle of hell. Ceaselessly bereft of intent, the tempest of voices continue to pummel me. Just as a baby would be defenselessly struck by the rain and being drowned in voices. At this rate, I think I would prefer to just drown and die like this. Laddie! Laddie, are you alright? You're going to be rescued now! Sorry, my tummy itch. A loud voice, it rang in my head. Okay, hold on. Amidst the numerous, countless voices, it is a voice that feels clearly directed toward me. I cannot do anything, but still, I can understand. The powerful voice directed toward myself. Hence, okay. I'm sorry. I just want to read a little bit more. Auto bro, grit your teeth now! Hearing that voice, a feeling of suspension arrived along with a terribly violent sound. A sound that was not a voice, vibrated my ears and restored the meaning of my tingly sealed eyes to take in light. And so, I was finally able to face the owners of the voices, those who had directed their voices toward me. Really fucking sorry that it took me so long to get here. Everything's in my amazing self's fault. Everything. It's my amazing self's fault. Really fucking sorry that it took me... Wait, what? Really fucking sorry that it took me so long to get here. It's my... What? Why'd they say that twice? What are you saying, Garf-san? If Garf-san and the others hadn't come, Laddie would still be strung up even now. Laddie, do you understand what I'm saying? What are you saying? What are you saying, Garf-san? If Garf-san and everyone else... Okay. I'm stop here. This shit's bro. I just wanted to keep reading, but I'm gonna call it here. It's about to be 9 o'clock. I've basically been reading all day since I got off from work. So All right, this has been your boy Zero, aka Black Natsuki Suru. If you guys enjoyed this reading, if you guys thought this was a W chapter, leave a like, share it with your homies, drop a comment. Let me know how you guys are feeling about like these chapters, because like this shit does not miss. But look, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm gonna get ready, do some other shit, but I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell though. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Until next time, peace.